All right, we're going to get this thing started. Get it started, man, the right way. Welcome to the All on a Business Podcast. I am the host, All on a Business, formerly known as Truth Allah. About to drop some science, man. I had wrote some stuff earlier I want to share with y'all. And also want to touch into some subjects. I'm not really sure how to get the chats and stuff like that going from Facebook onto my screen. I'm not even sure if y'all tapping in yet, but if you are, like, subscribe on YouTube, All on a Business. Follow me on social media at All on a Business. Simple as that. It's real easy. You know what I'm saying? Today, I want to talk about how your occupation is not a dead end, even though you may see it as a dead end, but it's actually a means to an end. And I want to discuss, how you can utilize your job and your occupation for the greater good of your business. So this is really, today's episode is really fine-tuned for entrepreneurs and people who go into business for themselves and who may not see the route or a route on how to actually go about that business. So without further ado, I'm going to read this piece that I wrote, okay? And it's called A Means to an End. Don't let your occupation be a dead end. Make it a means to an end. Use your job, occupation, and career as a stepping stone to higher achievements. See, I've heard many people say, quit your job. As an entrepreneur, I agree, you need to quit your job. On the same note, as an adult and a parent, I understand responsibility and financial obligations. Okay, so I don't think anyone should abruptly quit their job, except under special circumstances. Even if I did encourage such an extreme measure, let me go ahead and take this volume down on this thing. You know what I'm saying? Even if I did encourage such an extreme measure, it wouldn't even be honorable to just quit your job abruptly without at least a 2-week notice. That's the honorable thing to do. We get a job with an employer and we're under the obligation of a contract that we signed. We agreed to perform a performance. It's a performance contract. So breaking the contract without taking proper steps or precautions can result in you being sued, depending on the nature of the agreement. So people don't typically lose their jobs because the company goes out of business. The chance of, your company going out of business is rare and it's out of your control, and it cannot be anticipated by a low-level employee, as you may be, as a lot of us are. So in that matter, or in that manner, your job can be considered a fixed occupation, something that's going to be there tomorrow for you, something you could depend on at least until you get fired, which may or may not be your fault. So it's wise, to go to work and be diligent to avoid unnecessary hiccups at work. Every day you go to work is another day without you being able to work on your business idea. So how can you put work in for your business if you're at your job full time? And that's the question I think a lot of people have trouble getting around. How can I actually start a business if I'm always busy doing somebody else's business? But the thing is, the way you do that is by allocating a portion of your income to invest in your business. So you could use the money you invest into your business to build business capital and slowly, build up your credit profile and prepare yourself to go into business. There's no need to rush into generating business income. You know what I'm saying? Because you have income from your job, and that's the beauty of having a job or a day-to-day thing going on. It's something that you could, is fixed. So a business doesn't necessarily even need to generate income in order to build capital. And that's the big secret that you need to remember, because they're not going to tell you that. The misconception is that you need to be generating money through your services or product in order to have a business in operation, and that's not true. Business can have business income without generating money from services or products. Any money you deposit into your business bank account is seen as business income. The money you invest into your company is deposited into a business account, okay? And you use that business account in business transactions. Sometimes creditors want to see financial statements, so that income is going to count for your financial statement. It's showing that you got income coming in. And the money you're using and putting to the side into your business bank account is being seen as business income. So that's, once you get down the line and you get good credit and your business credit get good and you want to get a big loan, a lot of the time the bank or the creditor, they want to see your financial statements. They want to see if you're actually making the money that you'll be able to pay back the money that you're being borrowed. So, or the money that you're borrowing. So use the time at your job, or use the time that you're not at work, right, to improve your personal credit. You go to work when you get off, you should be sitting in disputes. You know what I'm saying? You should be trying to do things to improve your credit if it's bad. If your credit is good, it could be improved by increasing your credit balance while at the same time minimizing your utilization rate. If you can increase your balance and decrease your credit utilization rate at the same time, a good credit score goes up that way. If you got bad credit, fix your credit, send disputes, pay bills, find a credit repair specialist, open up some primary accounts, apply for some secure credit lines, etc. For somebody with no credit and you working, this is time for you to build a perfect credit profile while you're working and getting income, and you do that by opening up the primary accounts, get authorized user accounts, go invest in a CD account at your bank, get secured and non-secure credit lines, and by the time you look up after a year or two, you'll have outstanding credit. Even before that, you can build credit much quicker. But, good credit is all about longevity, So having no credit is good because you have a clean slate that many people with bad credit wish they had. You know what I'm saying? Wish they could go back in time and have good credit again. So whatever position you're in, use your time off to improve your personal credit. Sidebar. Pay off your school loans. Make an arrangement to pay $5 a month if you have to. A little is better than nothing at all. And decreasing your credit utilization rate will help you increase your credit score. You may even qualify for student loan forgiveness, depending upon if you've been paying your bills or if you've been working in the industry that you actually graduated in. That's one of the factors of student loan forgiveness, that you actually have to work in the industry you got a degree in, So, end of the sidebar. Some of the money that you put to the side can be used to pay for a company logo, trademark, how you register your business, whether it be S corporation, C corporation, limited liability, nonprofit, partnership, sole proprietorship, association, whatever it is up to you, and it's up to you to study and do the diligent research on what kind of business format you want based on the pros and cons. S corporations, for example, they don't pay any corporate tax, However, the income or the profit that a S corporation has is passed through to the employees who pay the taxes of the business income on their personal tax bracket level. So S corporations are considered pass-through entities. C corporations pay corporate tax, and the employees pay tax on the earned income they receive. So if you are an individual and you're the only person in your business, it's really not wise to start a C corp, because now you're taxed on the corporate level and you're taxed on the personal level. Unless that benefits you and you have, particular reasons. This is why most smaller businesses are actually S corporations or LLC. S corporations are um, small corporations or stock corporations. LLCs are limited liability companies. Limited liability companies are relatively newer form of business structure um, that provides the limited liability protection for its owners and employees pursuant to the Limited Liability Act in your state of business. Okay, tax exempt businesses are not all created equal. Nonprofit organizations as tax exempt. However, churches, schools, government businesses, amongst other tax exempt entities, do not require a 501c3 status recognition and are considered automatically tax exempt by the IRS. A partnership is an agreement when parties agree to cooperate to further their business interests. Okay, the parties of a partnership may be people, businesses, governments, schools, or combinations of such. Um, Sole proprietorship entities are owned and operated by one person. There's really no difference or distinction between the owner of the business and the business entity itself. It's pretty much like a social security number. You and your social pretty much coincide with each other, coexist with each other. An association is a group or is a group of two or more persons that come together for a specific purpose. Associations come with more owner liability and less governmental control, okay? Which means, if you take a L due to somebody else, one of your employees messing up, the association is going to be held liable instead of the state taking any liability or claim, over any damages that may be done or anything you're held liable for. It's not such a bad thing when you think about it, because governmental control is basically like saying, hey, you got the right to search me. It's like being on probation. All corporations are subject to subpoena, search. You have no rights as a corporation. The corporation is under the 14th Amendment citizen. Corporations no longer exist as business entities alone. They exist as people, equivalent to public vessels. So this right here, like I was telling you from the jump, this is dedicated to the entrepreneur's piece. We got Musadeek in the building. A.Musadeek7 on Instagram. This is dedicated to the entrepreneur, the businessman, the woman, right? I guess, we can make a means to an end college edition where we discuss how college, right? How college can be a stepping stone. I advocate education, and I see the best way to get a college education is to get a scholarship that will pay or help you pay for your education or schooling, whether it's academic, athletic. I support free school, paying for school with time, work, and labor on other people's money. It's beneficial, you know what I mean? And you are the beneficiary to your own hard work. So college education is definitely a stepping stone. College and education, I would separate the two. Education is not necessarily college, and college is not necessarily education. However, collegiate academics is a plus. It's a bonus in life. Elementary, middle school, and high school, all stepping stones to college. And college can be seen as a stepping stone into a good job or career of employment. The skills you get from school will qualify you for a job. That's the job I'm going to tell you to quit anyway. I'm telling you to quit your job, but I'm telling you that you need to take steps to quit your job, and then you need to put in your 2-week notice. So for the sake of subject matter and not going in circles in the aspects, can think and plan ahead of the tide. If you don't have a source of income, consider getting a job. Okay? Apply for a job that you'd like to do. One that aligns with your vision. This is for the youth. This is for those who may not have a job, right? Who may have never had a job but need some money and might resort to something other than legal activity. If you want to own a restaurant, get a job at a restaurant. If you want to own a barbershop, get a barber license and get a job at a barbershop. Fuck it, just sweep the floor. Keep an open mind. You can have aspirations to start a clothing line. That doesn't mean you can't work at a fast food restaurant. It's a job. It's not like you have to work at a clothing store first in order to learn how to deal with clothes. It's good to learn the ropes of the industry you choose to undertake, but it's not mandatory that you work in that field at an early stage. Operational procedure is more significant and fundamental than the actual type of business being operated. So paying attention when you go to work or when you go to do something for other people or with other people that's putting you on, paying attention to the operational procedure is more important than the actual business at hand. The work is more important than the paycheck. So no matter where you work at, it could be a means to an end for you, a stepping stone. Hopefully by now, you're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel called a job. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a long tunnel. And if you have a plan, it's a never-ending tunnel of employment. So once you get a job, or if you already have one, remember to always do your best at work type of thing, right? Strive to be employee of the month. Develop a sense of diligence at work that others can recognize by your consistency and willingness to get the job done efficiently. Once you finish your tasks, make time to ask your coworkers questions about their positions to gain a sense of empathy and understanding of operational procedure. Never settle for less. Don't just accept mediocrity, accept more responsibility, move up in the ranks, and request an increase in pay when applicable. After taxes, on average, you'll receive like 65% of your earned income. That's the net income of the gross income. Save 10% of the money is what they say, right? Now, you can save paper, but I recommend you take 10% of that money and you buy gold with it. Save 10% of your money in gold and silver. Save another 10% of your money to invest in your business. You ain't saving it, though. You putting it into your business, and then you making that circulate. And we'll talk about that in another video, in another time, on another episode. Right now, focus on making your job a means to an end, And that'll leave you pay for water, electricity. So it's going to give you less money to go fuck off and spend on things you don't need to be spending it on and wasting it. Right? So this is what we dealing with right now. Let me turn this mic up. I'm not sure if it's even been loud enough. It's time to talk about something. We've been written out of the law. Hey, our rights. I say it, we say it. What rights do we got? Are we even considered people yet? Because they definitely called us animals. Are we considered to be human beings yet? This is what I want to know. Are we people yet? Or are we still some type of entity? Am I a natural person yet? Let me tell y'all something. The Constitution did not include the original people when it was written. Okay? That don't mean it don't now. Or that don't mean it can't now. Do we all know what it says? Man, we know. Hold on, man. Let me pull up this 13th Amendment, man. Let's see. Man, eventually we're going to get it right. Okay, now, we got this research we're going to do real quick. Let me put it over here. Okay. $13th Amendment, man. I'm tired of this shit. I'm trying to find just the real website that I could go to real quick, that I could pull this up. All right, man. Is this the... All right, let's go down. We go back up, though. We go down. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. I wish this thing would stop making that sound. So what does that say? That means the United States claimed jurisdiction over people. This had not been done yet, because if you go up here, Article 4, well, we know Section 2, the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. It says that no state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state. Then it says the Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory and other territory belonging to the United States. The territory. Or, okay. I'm just studying this right now and thinking. So the 13th Amendment is the naturalization. No, the 14th Amendment is the naturalization clause or the citizenship clause. And they made the 14th Amendment so that people who were freed from slavery from the 13th Amendment could become citizens of the country and not a state that they were in, not just the state, but the country too. If I read the 14th Amendment to you, I'm going to read it. All persons born and or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. You see, but we know that before this amendment, Article 4 says, clearly, Article 4 says, the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privilege, and that was the Negro or the black man that was freed from slavery, right? So they freed you from slavery. We wasn't citizens yet. What happened was they created something called the Black Code. Some of the southern states came together and created. So they got rid of the Black Codes in 1866, right? After that, they came with the Reconstruction, right? If I'm not mistaken, let me go ahead and look up the when did the 14th Amendment come? Shit. You know what I mean? 1868. Just like, okay, so listen, I know what I'm talking about. I think it was called Reconstruction when they were reconstructing the Constitution or whatever. And they got rid of the black codes in 1866 and came with the 14th Amendment in 1868, right? But with the 14th Amendment came statutory code, okay? Statutory codes, statutory laws, penal codes, statutory codes, okay? This is important because now under the 14th Amendment, as a citizen, you're under the jurisdiction of the statutory codes instead of being under the jurisdiction of common law, admiralty, and maritime. Now they made up a jurisdiction under certain rules of the Constitution, and it's called a statutory jurisdiction, and it's created for the 14th Amendment citizen to follow rules and regulations. And he shall follow these rules and regulations in every state that he goes in because he's the property of the United States and the state they're from. And this is what the 14th Amendment says loud and clear. Now, and if you do the knowledge, citizens in the Article 4 is a capital C. So when it talked about the citizens, it was talking about we the people. And we the people, we know we're white people. Okay, and this is documented. So I got to turn this volume down because what's going on is it's playing the volume. Well, I guess it is what it is type of thing. I'm trying not to. Let me see, just doing a couple minor adjustments. You see that sound keep going off, and I don't really want that sound to keep going off like that. See, we're tweaking out right now. I'm trying to make this thing work. Exactly. All right, so I'm back on. I'm back on the Instagram. So now we could continue, you know. Let me make sure I turn this thing off too, because it's like, maybe that was the one tripping the whole time. Regardless, you know, the babies is in the back playing. So we got to bear with the babies, man. You know, we doing the knowledge and we got to bear with the babies. You know what I'm saying? Because they the future and they want to have some fun. They going to get to have some fun. You know what I'm saying? And I got to bear with them having fun. They ain't got to bear with me. All right, so let's get to talking back about this 14th Amendment and how they created a statutory jurisdiction. Okay, and that now we've been duped. Okay, we're wondering why they're getting away with things on paper. I mean, I never expect them to hang each other, but on paper they're calling each other innocent. You got to realize what codes is being put down. Statutory codes on you, your property still. I'm here to tell you, man. I really think the South won. I think the South won the Civil War. Or I think that it was a compromise, or that conservatives and liberals worked together to end the Civil War. And I think the agreement was that the liberals wanted to free the slaves, technically, quote unquote, free the slaves from physical bondage and let them out into society. Conservatives wanted to keep the slaves in bondage. So the liberals said, hey, won't you guys build prisons? Why don't we start the prison industrial system? Okay, let's see. Man, when did prisons start? I give it a real simple question, man. All right, man. All right. I'm going to say London. London, right? Let's go to the history of the penal system. Forget about it. Matter of fact, let's get off this dude's website. Let's go to this Britannica, man. Let's see if we can find like a timeline. When did prison start in America? Maybe I should say, when's America's first prison? Let's see. Okay. Philadelphia became home to the first modern prison in 1829 when a Eastern State Penitentiary opened. It touted the practice of solitary confinement as a way to give inmates time to reflect their crimes and eventually emerge reformed. Okay. Industry. I'm telling you right now. There's got to be some type of all right. So even in these days, when they first built prisons, I'm looking for like a timeline. American prison timeline. Because we know the rate went up in the 1900s like crazy. They started locking up all kind of black people for nothing after slavery was over. That was through the black codes. Here we go, man. Now we talking about right now. NCIC, National Institutions of Corrections, the history of corrections in America, brief history of the federal prison system. That's what I'm talking about. The United States government established the prison system. It appears the first federal prison was Leavenworth in Kansas. Okay, why are we talking about federal prison? Because the statutory codes are federal codes, son. Before the U.S. government passed the 3 Prison Act, federal prisons were held as state prisons. Come on, man. Why? Because they didn't have the statutory codes yet. Federal prisons only became popping once they had that code written up. States always had their own type of laws. But the states' laws were always built under the guidance of the U.S. Constitution. At least it's supposed to be like that. State laws are supposed to be aligned in alignment, inferior to the Constitution. The Constitution is superior law on the land, the common law. And states must adhere to that. But now states have adopted statutory jurisdiction, statutory law, And state laws, a lot of the statutory codes, felonies, misdemeanors, they do fall in the line of a violation of common law. But the bullshit charges is how they filled up prisons, years ago. Bullshit charges, black codes, pig laws. Pig laws too, Pig laws, unfair, penalize poor African Americans for crimes such as stealing a farm animal. So it became known as pig laws, and they gave them harsh sentences for that. And that is unconstitutional. Black codes and pig laws. You know what I'm saying? But this is before statutory. Okay, so. See what I'm saying? Y'all not really hearing me. It was only in the 1870s that the first codification of federal statutes was approved by Congress. This predecessor to the U.S. Code, first published in 1875, is known as the Revised Statutes of the United States. Oh my goodness. If y'all don't knock it off, man. And why did they make this? Why did they make this? Hold on. Let's go back. (1868) is when they created the 14th Amendment. 1875 is when Congress approved the revised statutes of the United States. Why? Because the United States needed ways to imprison the citizens within its jurisdiction, to put them back into what we call legal slavery according to the 13th Amendment of the Constitution. So we got the dates. We got the timeline. Listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Prove me wrong, because I'm saying it's right. They abolished slavery in 1860. First of all, the Emancipation Proclamation came before that. Then they had to put it in the Constitution because nobody would listen. Just like this mandate is not written into the Constitution. But this mandate is not, it's affecting everybody. So they're not going to write that shit into Constitution. Right? Okay, so now the Emancipation Proclamation, 18th Amendment, 1865. They created the 14th Amendment. No, hold on. After that though, let me keep it clear. Hold on real quick. I keep hitting the mic. I'm sorry, Mike. Let's search black codes. Oh, I'm not on live? I gotta tap back on live, man. I don't know what I'm doing. Right now. Got to tap back on live. Let me light this thing up, man. This shit is deep. This shit is deep. Deeper than the ocean abyss. Deeper than the ocean. Oh, it was on the iPad, but the iPad started tripping. Yeah, man, we having fun with it, man. Y'all tap in, man. Y'all definitely tap in with my live joints. Tap in with the podcast. Take the time out. Tap in with the podcast, all in the business. On Spotify. She'll be on iTunes and all that too, but I got to check. Let's get back into this, though. The black codes. The black codes. When did the black codes start? Okay, here we go. Look at this. It's right here. 1865, like I told you, to 1866. So as soon as the 13th Amendment came, like it was a fight, but it was an agreement because you know this shit was planned. Because the conservatives, they wanted slavery. And the liberals knew that the conservatives would fight to the death to get a slave, to enslave the people. I mean, the liberals enslaved people too. They just didn't want to enslave us through bondage. They want to enslave us through employment. See, the liberals enslave you through your employment. The conservatives enslave you through what they call crime. And I say what they call crime because they got a bunch of statutes from the revised statutes of the United States that they came up with. So I'm just catching my Instagram viewers up. So 18. Okay. Let's just make it right. Let's make it right. Let's go ahead and pull this up on the screen. Emancipation Proclamation. Okay, let's follow the timeline. 1863. Okay, the third year of the bloody Civil War, because the conservatives wanted slavery and fuck the Democrat and Republican toss. So it was the conservatives versus the liberals. And 1863, the third year after the war, Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. That's 1863. In 1865 came the 13th Amendment, the abolition of slavery. So they had to say it again. But not only did they say it this time, it was a compromise in this one. See, he said the Emancipation Proclamation said all slaves within rebellious states are henceforth free. This is what Emancipation Proclamation said. It said nothing about the 13th Amendment. Listen to me. There was a debate. They said, listen, the only way we'll let them free is if we still got control over them. That's what the conservatives said. We'll never let these motherfuckers go. We need them. The liberals said, you're right. We do need them. So this is what we gonna do. We still gonna free them. But we gonna free them. And we're gonna slowly come up with these things called codes to keep them in check. And if they violate these codes, we'll put them back into legal slavery. And we'll put that if they violate the law, that they get put back into legal slavery on the 13th Amendment. So that year they said, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for a crime, whereof the party shall be duly convicted, shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Wordplay. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Wordplay. Congress is who? The slave owners. So the slave owners began to shift towards Congress. So instead of openly coming out, they just, okay, we'll take our place in Congress so we can enforce the 13th Amendment article, right? Which means y'all ain't slaves. However, punishment of a crime, slavery shall exist. What? All right. Slavery shouldn't exist at all. A prisoner is a prisoner. A prisoner is not considered a slave. In war, you're supposed to treat a prisoner the same as you treat your own people. This prisoner might join your army. So after the 13th Amendment, they came up with these things called the Black Codes. Okay? And the Black Codes, From 1865 to 1866, the end of the Civil War marked the end of slavery for 4 million black Southerners. But the war left them landless, without money to support themselves. You think that was by default? You think they couldn't give them some land and some bread? White Southerners, seeking to control the freed men, devised special state law codes. Many Northerners saw these codes as blatant attempts to restore slavery. Okay, yada, yada, yada. They used these codes to inflate the jail and put all kind of black men in jail. They got rid of them in 1866 because the liberals saw that as a form of disrespect. Like, look, man, we said in the 13th Amendment that Congress is supposed to do this, so let Congress do it. Like, why are y'all, as Americans, not letting Congress take care of this? So, therefore, that's why you got a Congress with liberals and conservatives. And they work on a vote. And it's sometimes you get a liberal that votes with a conservative, or a conservative that votes with the liberal. Okay. 5 days after the Civil War ended, Abraham Lincoln was shot. 14th Amendment, 1868. Equal protection under the law. Now, the law was not considered the common law at that point. At that point, the law was considered the codes that they already had for slaves. Straight up. 1868. Come on, man. Look what it says. Extending to the provisions of the Bill of Rights to the states. Okay. It doesn't say privileges and immunities. I think it might say that somewhere, but I don't think it. I gotta look up the actual word for word 14th Amendment right now. Word for word. Exactly. Like I said, deny any person within its jurisdictions equal protection of the laws. That does not say privileges and immunities. The wordplay is cold. A real citizen has privileges and immunities in the several states and in the state they're from. Slaves, let me read this to you. The 14th Amendment, this is a government website. This is the Library of Congress. The 14th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified on July 9th, 1868, and granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States, which included former slaves recently freed. Okay? You were not a citizen according to Article 4. They could have just said, listen, we're gonna ratify the Article 4 of the Declaration of Rights or Bill of Rights or whatever, and we're gonna say that these citizens shall also include these people here. They didn't do that. They created a whole new citizen. Man, this shit is on paper. I didn't make it up. Granted citizenship, so which means I didn't even have to do that. If it says you granted citizen, that means you asked for it. It didn't say automatically made you. If you was born and naturalized, it granted citizenship. Okay. You didn't have to be a citizen in the United States. You could be a citizen of the state you from. You could, you know what I'm saying? Some people left and went and became citizens of Africa, you know what I'm saying? But the point is, after the 14th Amendment came, 1875, revised statutes of the United States, which turned into the revised statutes of the United States turned into the statutory code. There I go. Had to remember. Federal statutes, man. Federal statutes, man. Let's go ahead and look them up. Initial publication as a slip law, collection by public law into the United States statutes at large, codification in the United States Code. Or its predecessors. Public law, which is the most common form of law passed by Congress. Public law and private law. Private law, public law, which is the most common form of law passed by Congress, affects society and typically do ultimately end up being codified into United States Code. Private laws cannot, because the United States Code is a codification of only general and permanent laws of the United States. This is blowing my mind. I just read this. Okay. Since it's talking about the United States Code, let's just go ahead and since we know it's a uniform thing, man. It's a uniform thing. What I'm saying is a uniform thing. It says what? 3 steps: federal statute publication, slip law, collection of public law, and codification in the United States Code. United States Code is a codification of the general and permanent laws of the United States. What is the United States? According to the U.S. Code. Definitions. Definitions, Cornell. Okay. Let's go down. Okay. Hey, United States means a federal corporation, an agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States. Instrumentality of the United States. A federal corporation. 14th Amendment citizen is technically hired by a federal corporation, United States Federal Corporation. Okay. State means any of the several states, the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, the Commonwealth of North Marianas, or any territory or possession of the United States. You see, states are not possession of the United States. State corporations are. Okay. So this is brief. Back starting to hurt. Y'all probably heard that too, man. I'll be cracking my neck. That shit be loud. All right. So private law affects, okay, you got slip laws. Once a bill becomes law, first published in a form is called a slip law by the Office of the Federal Register. Let's go to him. United States Statutes at Large. Look at this guy. Okay, let's just go to him. United States Code and its predecessors. So listen, I'm going to read this to you. This is the United States Code and its predecessors. The next publication step is for all of the new laws to be integrated into the pre-existing body of law. Currently, this compilation of all the general permanent laws of the United States is the United States Code. The United States Code organizes statutes by subject, and each subject is assigned its own title. For example, Title 51 concerns national and commercial space programs. Titles are then subdivided into subparts and sections, not necessarily in that order. The United States Code contains quite a few finding aids, including a subject index and several helpful tables, such as a popular name table that shows where frequently referenced laws are codified in the United States Code, and a statutes at large table that lists the public laws in chronological order and links them both to their statutes at large citation and to where they are codified in the United States Code. The United States Code was originally published in 1926, and since 1934, its main volumes have been published every 6 years. Prior to the United States Code, all of the federal statutes in force from 1789 to 1873 were codified in a subject-based publication that has come to be known as the Revised Statutes of 1873 and 74, or simply the Revised Statutes of the United States. Gosh. So it doesn't mention all of the federal statutes in force from 1789 to 1873. Because those federal statutes were laws enforced against the original man, like slavery. Slavery was a federal statute enforced until one of the presidents decided that he didn't want slavery. Then they went to war, supposedly over that. Federal statutes in force from 1789 to 1873 on who? Who was they enforcing statutes on? That's what you got to think about. It's obvious shit. They talk about public law and how the statutes at large list the public laws. It says earlier in this same article that public laws can and typically do ultimately end up being codified in the United States Code. Private laws cannot. What is a private law? Private law, on the other hand, only affects an individual small. It doesn't define what a private law is. What's a private law? Okay. Let's go ahead and search it. What is private law? We into it today. Who I got on? Stay tuned in. A branch of law. Private law is a branch of law that deals with the relations between individuals or institutions rather than relations between these and the government. Private law. This is the real question I have. What is private law concerning the relation? Okay, but where's the list of the private laws? They got a list of public laws. I need the list of private laws. That's what we into right now. Okay. Understand the concept of constitutional law. Explain the meaning and nature of private law. Okay. Define criminal law. Public law is the part of law which governs relationship between the state and with its subject, and also the relationship between individuals directly concerning the society. Okay. Are you subject to the state? That's to be considered. Public law is a form of political jurisprudence that incorporates no transcendental or metaphysical ideas of justice and goodness. Okay. Public law deals with social problems, including the following heads: constitutional law, administrative law, criminal law, and criminal procedure. Law of the state, considered in its quasi-private personality, procedure relating to the state, as so considered in judge-made law. This is a good document right here. Okay. Administrative law. Manners and activities of the various organs of the sovereign power provided by the Constitution. In the sense, administration has been defined as the exercise of political powers within the limits of the Constitution as the total, concrete, manifold, changing activity of the state, in particular cases as the functions or the activity of the sovereign power. The most important function of the state is that which it discharges as the guardian of order, preventing and punishing all injuries to itself and disobedience to the rules which it has laid down for the common welfare. In defining the orbit of its rights in this respect, the state usually proceeds by an enumeration of the acts which infringe upon it, coupled with an intimation of the penalty to which anyone committing such acts will be liable. The branch of law which contains the rules is described as criminal law. Okay. Criminal law is concerned with the definition of crime and the prosecution and penal treatment of offenders. A crime is a public as opposed to an individual or private wrong. Although a criminal act may cause harm to some individual, crimes are regarded as offenses against the state or the people. A crime is a public as opposed to a private wrong. In the state, not the harmed individual that takes action against the offender. Right there, that's heavy right there, man. I'm just scrolling down this document. I don't want to read the whole thing. It's very long. Private law versus public law. Well, man, we'll just wind it down, man. I think we've been on long enough. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure how long we've been on, man, but I'm going to tap out, man, because it's just a lot to study in a short amount of time. I read the piece to y'all earlier, so hopefully I get some listeners and some downloads on this joint because it's some great information here, man. Subscribe on YouTube and like. That way you get notified when I come on, hear me talk a little bit and go through it. Got to get some caller logs and stuff so I could take callers and do all that fun stuff. But for right now, y'all make sure y'all go to Spotify and download this and listen to it, on your time on or off. It's up to you when you listen to it, but please listen to it.